There is much talk in our day about what some people call lordship salvation. And preachers are telling people that salvation is by the grace of God, but their obedience to God, their obedience to His law, is the only ground for assurance of their being saved. The only ground of assurance that they're going to heaven. And one famous current preacher, his name is John MacArthur. And by the way, he's the pastor that was on television and the one who in California defied the governor and the government regarding holding services. But he is one who preaches such. He has quite a following. And this is a quote from a message that he preached, and this is what many who claim to preach sovereign grace actually believe. I quote, "The only validation you will ever have of your salvation is a life of obedience. It is the only possible proof that you really recognize the lordship of Jesus Christ." I'm going to say that again because that's the heart of the message. Obedience is the only validation of your salvation. It is the only possible proof that you recognize the lordship of Jesus Christ. Unquote. The problem with such as this is that many counterfeits have lived what he would call a life of obedience outwardly. And many who have professed falsely faith in Christ will perish living such a life. Maybe him. You see, the truth is, in salvation, Christ alone is everything. It is His obedience that saves us, and it is His obedience that assures us of salvation. If we ever find assurance in anything but Him, we are in serious trouble and not believing. And we have, therefore, a false assurance. Because the Apostle Paul, believing like he did, being not only a believer and one saved by Christ, but an apostle also, he tells us that those who are true Israelites, that they have no confidence in the flesh. He said this of his own self, being a saved man. He said, "That which I would do, I don't. And that which I wouldn't do, that I do. O wretched man that I am. You cannot be assured or have confidence of salvation in any wretched man. And Paul, in the two places that we have read this morning, speaks of how the Lord has called him and ordained that he preach the gospel. And that obedience that he speaks of here is the obedience of faith. The obedience of faith. And our obedience, if we be believers, is the obedience of faith, that is God-given faith, which is to obey the gospel and to trust Christ's obedience and never ours.